Okay, so guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to take pictures. Okay, basically there are a lot of things that you should take into consideration, basically a lot, but then all those a lot, put it in a trash can. Three things you need to bother about in any camera that you have when you want to take pictures: 1, ISO; 2, aperture; 3, your shutter speed. Once you bother yourself about how to do all those three things, you're good. So for this camera, I'm going to show you here. So this is Sony Alpha A7 III. I believe you guys would have heard me say that a million times on this channel. So I'm going to switch it to, okay, it's on manual already. It's already on picture mode. Now, this is the ISO, this is the f-stop, that's the aperture, and this is the shutter speed. This is the shutter speed, okay? So now, the thing is, you also need to know what all of this value does, okay? Now, for the shutter speed, when you check what I showed you before, it's on 160. So if you come, let's go, come. Alright. So we have my model here, a Motorola. Now, I have the speed light. The significance of the speed light is to help me with this, basically. Switch it on. Like, basically, I'll be able to light my subject, and it won't, all of this shadow you are seeing will not be there. So you are going to have to be adjusting the angles of the speed light, basically. So the thing about the speed light is this. Normally, once you get your speed light, there is the, let me remove this camera here. This is speed light. You buy it from any store that you want. Now, batteries, 4 batteries that are rechargeable. You put it here in, you zing it, it is on, okay? Then this communicates to the camera, so you mount it on there. Now, the thing with the shutter speed is this. When the light flashes up, in case you don't want shadow in your pictures, you want the speed light to be pointing up. So any light that goes up, it bounces down and it brightens up the subject, okay? But then by the time it is like this, you could even see close your eye. By the time it is like that, you could see that it will be casting shadow there. Even if this is not, there's going to be shadow there. And depending on creativity, because sometimes you do a lot of wrong things and we call it creative. So if your own creativity is you want shadow to be there, then you may want to tilt the speed light at an angle, okay? But if you want clear pictures, whether it is portrait or landscape, you want this to be pointing to the sky. Now, what if you are shooting in a very big place like an auditorium? Let's say JF Akande multipurpose hall, what's that? Multipurpose auditorium in, let's say, a very big place, and the ceiling is so far. Now, what you want to do is you want to tilt this to face your subject a little bit, because if the light goes up, it's not gonna bounce. It is not going to bounce down. So what you want to do is this: you want to drag this guy up. Once you drag it up, you see this stuff is like it's covering your light. So you take this back in, and this is this. So now, once the light goes up, it bounces off this on your subject. Okay, so now your subject is going to be brightened up. Now, if you wanted to have more effects, you tilt it like this. That is in the cases where the ceiling is so high that the light is never going to come down. Okay, so I believe that is the major technique about this. And this guy here, you have the negative, you have the positive, okay? So once you reduce it, this affects the intensity of the light. That's what this does. Now, I advise you to always keep it in this range, because the more you go, it's going to experience something. What will I call it? Will I call it a mileage, or what will I call it? Like, it is going to take time for the speed light to boot again to its capacity. So the higher you go now, if you go this high and you take a picture, by the time you take another one, the speed light will not work. It will need to rest for maybe like 5 seconds. Then once you use it again, it will go boom. So if you want to manage battery and all of that, you just want to keep it here in the 5th one or this. So in rare occasions this, but you don't want to stay here for too long, because it is going to be taking time for the speed light to come back to life. And if you want some creative views, let's say you don't have RGB lighting, you may want to change the filter here. So if it is white, you may want to use yellow, so it's going to splash yellow colors on your subject, or green, or things like that. So that is the nitty-gritty of the speed light. I'm just going to turn off. That was very hot. Alright, switch it on. Okay, now that we've connected it, all I just did was I rotated it in. Okay, so just this is the connector here, and this guy, we are going to see if I'm going to raise this up or not anyway. So now back to your camera. Okay, the three things you need to bother about. Now I was going to explain this. Now come here, please, Omotola, I need you here. If you look at this now, you'd see that the image is dark, right? But then let's focus, okay? But then ISO, where's that ISO button? Okay, this is ISO, yeah. So you see that the more I go down, the more, I hope you can notice the brightness, yeah. So you see that I've exaggerated it now, ISO. So the more you go, but then in occasions of taking pictures, you don't want to go above 800. 800 is too much. You don't want to ever go above 800. If not, you are going to be getting noise, digital noise, a lot. It is going to be like Gary or groceries, like we call them over here. So what you want to do is, you don't want it to be over 800. You don't want it. So we're going to work with this 400. Let's say it's still dark. So let's say 500. Like I know I can still adjust it in post. You see, quite good. So for the f-stop, I have a button here for the f-stop. So all you just need to know is what is the function of every button that you have here. So this is for the f-stop. So the f-stop, you want it to be as low as possible. But then, if you are taking group pictures, let's say they are like 20 persons or 50, and you want like everybody to sort of like be in focus, you know, being in focus has to do with you using your wide lens. If you are using a wide lens like this is a 24 mm lens, 24, then crop sensor 35, I believe the other way around. If you are using a wide lens like this now, definitely everybody is supposed to be in focus, like. But then, if you are going to be using the camera itself, you want the f-stop to be big. When I say big, you want to increase it to 11. But then it is relative because f-stop is usually, I think it is represented in fraction. So it's supposed to be like 1 over f or something like that. So you want the denominator to be very large if it is denominator. However, you just want the numbers to be very big, okay? Now your image is going to be dark. So if your image is dark, you see that the more I go, the more my image becomes dark. So if I'm like shooting on 11, and you have to also consider the fact that we are indoors. If we're outdoors, the situation, the climate is, or the climax, or the atmosphere is quite different. So that is when you use this. So this is going to ensure that everybody is sort of like in focus, okay? But then if you want to get more in terms of low light, if you want to shoot, let's say at night, and you want to expose your camera the most, that is where you'll be needing the f-stop to be very low, so that the more we go, it is on 1.8. So when you are trying to consider the reasons you want to buy lenses, you want to also know the lowest f-stop. Okay, so is it 1 point? If it is 2.8, definitely you know that your low light photography is going to be less. If it is 1.8, if it is 1.2, then you know that wow, you can actually do more. So in case you don't have a speed light and you want more light into your camera, what you can do is you can reduce the ISO so that there will be no digital lens, and you want to open up your aperture by taking it to the lowest number as possible. You take it down. So if it's 1.8, take it to 1.8 or 1.6. Now regarding your shutter speed, what shutter speed does is sort of like this is the shutter button, okay? So the time it takes to basically react, okay? So if you are doing programs like for sports or something that is very fast, maybe animals, hunting and all of that, you would want your shutter speed to be high. So you would want it to go up so it can grab motion. So if the lion is about to jump on its prey, once you just keep clicking like that, it will grab it in that motion. It is going to be very thin, okay? But then if you want to do like flash effects, you know, when you see flash running, there's motion block, all those kind of things. What you want to do is you want to reduce your shutter speed, so there's going to now be motion. So if you do like this, if your shutter speed is like 1 over 80 and you do like this, it is going to capture the motion. So basically, if you are doing that on video and you go like this, like this, like this, basically it is going to be leaving trails. I think WWE uses it in one of their NXT Superstar entrance. So anytime it comes in, they switch to the live feed. So in the live feed, it's going like this, it's going like this, it's going, and it's flash. But then it's just the shutter speed that is doing the work. So you can thank me for that. So those are the 3 things that you need to bother yourself about: ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. That is all. Then you also want to know if you want to shoot on RAW, that's up to you. If you want to shoot on JPEG, but shooting on RAW is best. So you also want to learn camera setting, how to put it. You can see there's JPEG and all of that, but file format is on RAW, uncompressed, so I can get the most of my picture when I am editing. That is the essence of shooting on RAW. What we're doing now is we switched between the 14 Pro and this is an 11 Pro. So this can be like some sort of camera comparison in terms of quality. Okay, so they won't be side by side, but then you can actually see which gives you a better feel. So we just continue here. Okay, you said it was not focused on your face. This is good. No, you don't zoom like that. It's not screen. Even the affordable camera has a screen touch. So there's something I said about when you increase the intensity of the light. I mentioned something that it will take time for your shutter speed, for your speed light to be picking up. So if you check this picture now, I took 3 pictures, okay? But then if you look at the first one, you see how it is. Then for the second one, the speed light was resting basically. So it made time to rest. That's why I see that the light effect is not even showing at all. Now you can see that. So if I increase it the more, it is going to take more time for the light to actually flash again. So you always want to keep it minimal when you adjust your settings. Break up, you say self-love, and self-love is supposed to be just the self and now. So this is okay, if I learn to dance, this is good. From the video that you've watched so far, we were able to show you the 3 things that you're supposed to be concerned about when you want to take pictures: the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture basically. So once you can set up the 3 and you actually remember how to use the speed light properly and you light your subject very well, then I believe you're good. So I'm just going to show you the raw footage or the raw picture that we're able to get. So if you see what is on your screen right now, you can see the pictures. Now it's not looking much because this is a raw file. Now it is in post-production. You can subscribe to the channel so you see that in another video. So the pictures does not look much, but then we are going to edit it using either Camera Raw or Adobe Lightroom. So check it in another video. So I think we are good, Jerry. If I can just see, zoom out. Yeah, good. Them out. The same thing when you go for a shoot, you have to check if you got the clips. If you go your papa house, you won't come go edit, you go to see picture. Ha! What thing you go talk? Okay, were you cutting or these are the short ones that I'm doing? These are the but then the mic is not on. Don't let me say it.
If I say this now, throw it to
you guys the video before I post it. Or do you guys want to see the video before I post it?
You can post it so you'll be surprised.
You didn't suggest that now. You're just pressing your phone.
My phone.
Actually,